Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Mayor Eric Garcetti, and hello to everybody watching on the live webcast on YouTube. We're very excited to be sharing some, I think, groundbreaking news, not just for Los Angeles, but for the way people and technology and cities interact. I think we all know that Los Angeles is known as a place that thinks big. We're known for our curiosity. We're known for our innovation. But in the 21st century, that really means harnessing the power of technology, our data, and making that not a client and patron relationship, but a partnership between the people and their own government, giving people a greater sense of ownership of their own government, and also leveraging the populations of our cities to be able to collaborate with the limited resources that government sometimes has in order to truly put a city on board towards solving the challenges that we all have. We look at data to give us insight into how our city works. We first seek to understand our cities. But we also look to data to see how it can work better for us here in Los Angeles, for the millions of Angelenos who depend on our services in their daily lives. That's why we're here at this very special campus, and I want to thank again Lacrette's Innovation Campus, a place that we helped build with city money, with Los Angeles Department of Water and Power money. It was ranked the #1 green tech incubator in the world and the #5 incubator in the country just in its first year in business. But we're here to launch today something called GeoHub, which is a portal that will help us reinvent the way that we deliver services and broaden our ability to engage residents and businesses to improve the quality of life in their city. Before we get started, I want to thank my friend, a man who is really a Southern California and worldwide jewel, Jack Dangermond, who is with us. He is the founder and CEO of Esri, and if any of you have ever done any GIS work, you know Esri. His leadership and his partnership on this project have been nothing short of stupendous. His staff, his team, together with mine, have worked so closely together to see if we could build something up, and it fits into my vision. What I've said to tech leaders is use LA as a platform. This is the best platform anywhere in the world, whether it's a company looking to increase efficiency at the Port of LA, like Cargomatic, a company that's kind of like the Uber or Lyft of cargo containers, or whether it's companies that want to partner that are established like Waze, who had their first partnership with a city here to share data both directions. We are open for business. So thank you, Jack, for trusting us and engaging with us. Fred Walty is the head of the Clean Tech Incubator. He's right here, a man who decided to get off his motorcycle in Bolivia and instead come back and start this whole thing. And I also want to thank Lillian Corral, who's Deputy Chief Data Officer for the City of Los Angeles, who's just done extraordinary work. Where is she? She's probably hiding somewhere, but she deserves a round of applause. Oh, there she is. Come out. Since we're webcasting, you can come out for a second so everybody can see you. And we have a seat for you over here. Thank you, Lillian, so much for the great work. Awesome. When we launched our open data portal almost 2 years ago, we said it would bring greater transparency and greater accountability to City Hall. When we did this for the first time, we were a city that was unranked in the open data rankings. But we wanted to do better. We wanted to provide that for journalists. We wanted to provide that for coders. We wanted to provide that for everyday residents. And we wanted to provide it for government workers as well. And it's funny, sometimes when you share data, you learn all sorts of things. And people say, whoops, did you know that it was bad, that the city was not functioning well there because of an article that's in the paper or because of somebody who pointed that out? I said, no, but that is the point. There's only so much that we can do on our own. We want to have that data out there for innovation, for accountability, and for collaboration. And by giving people better access to information, anyone could see how their government is doing and how well it's performing. But with GeoHub today, we're taking it one step further. We're going to connect the data housed in different city departments to develop innovative and more efficient ways to serve the needs of Angelenos. For example, let's take public safety, which is one of my top priorities as mayor. Imagine if police officers, firefighters, emergency workers, and first responders all had access to the city's data for every specific place at any time, anywhere. Public safety personnel could make critical, real-time decisions based on solid map-based data, and GeoHub makes that possible. Let's say a firefighter with an iPad or a mobile device is called to respond to an emergency like an earthquake. Well, thanks to GeoHub, he or she could just pull up more than the 911 data for that call. They could find important facts like building inspection status, location of the nearest fire hydrants, sewer lines, street lights, any information that would make it easier to respond to an emergency. And believe me, I've seen first responders go out there. And it's kind of like, hey, you go over there, try to figure that out. You go over there, look down at the sewer lines. And they're scrambling to do those things that we could maybe have in their palm the moment they arrive. And it's not just applicable to public safety. Our finance department, for instance, can use it to determine areas of the city where economic activity is thriving, to see a heat map of economic activity, and to learn how to best support enterprise in those areas that are doing well and to better support those that are not. Our libraries and parks and recreation department can analyze how people are using their services and deploy resources more effectively. What's better, it's not just city workers that can use GeoHub, it's all of us. Just about anyone from everyday Angelinos, students, researchers, business owners, journalists can benefit from the insight that it puts at our fingertips. So I'm going to walk you through now a little bit of the demo of what we have at GeoHub, which is available, by the way, at geohub.lacity.org. Once you enter the hub, this is the home page, you can search through more than 500 layers of map-based data. And just to distinguish, we've been sharing a lot of data, but those are sort of just normal data sets like you'd see in a spreadsheet. The map-based data is a little bit more complicated and has never been put together like this before. I believe we're the first city, Jack, to be doing this in the world. And so you can look here, and let's take a look at a few of the applications that we have just down here. Now, the layers of map-based data that you see here, the categories that we have, lead us to applications that you can then use, and we put 4 here today. The first is Streetwise, which allows residents, city employees, and private businesses to track permit activity in a proposed construction area. This will allow folks to plan their projects in order to avoid delays. I remember a column, I think that Steve Lopez wrote a number of years ago, in the Los Angeles Times that said, you know, how is it that Street Services was repaving a street in front of a school the very day that it opened? They had a whole summer vacation to do it, but suddenly now parents couldn't get their kids to school, they were angry at the city, vice versa, and couldn't there just be one site where everybody shared this information? When I campaigned, I said, let's do that, and now we actually have it. So you can see, as it was clicking through, you can see current work, the number of projects, you can draw the map as far as you want, and you can see the upcoming work as well, so that if the city's about to pave a street, maybe we don't pave it because we see that it's about to be torn up by the cable company or somebody else to lay some lines down, and we can delay it a month or two. This is now coordinated all together. Another application, speaking of streets, is Road to 2400. My goal of paving a record 2,400 miles of lane miles of streets last year, you can see actually since I came into office June 30th, 2013, this was sped up. It goes actually a little bit slower if you see. This is the number, these are all the streets that we have paved in the last 2 years and 7 months. So you get a sense of, you know, how far and how those record-breaking numbers have actually applied throughout the city and where they've applied as well. Advances like GeoHub are why Los Angeles has been named not just the #1 digital city in America, but also #1 in open data. And that's because we understand that data is the basis of any sound decision, especially ones that matter the most, how to respond in a disaster or how to make our roads safer to travel on. You'll see also maps that help us understand a little bit better, so you can tell a story in essence using data. You'll see things in here where, for instance, the population pressure, where a population is expected to grow and shrink, and then plan infrastructure around that. Households that are above and below the poverty line, et cetera. And each one of these are just examples. Where it says see more examples here, we have many, many more. So with that, I'd like to invite Jack to come forward. If there's one person who understands the power of this kind of information, it's Jack Dangermond. He is somebody who has been a leader in GIS technology. He founded Esri in 1969. It's right here in Southern California in Redlands. And under its leadership, it's grown from a small research group into a world leader in GIS software. I'd like to invite him to say a few words, so please welcome Jack.
Thank you very, very much. This is an amazing day for me. So the vision of the mayor was to, can I make a portal which would take all this data set and first make the city better, allow us to dynamically not only share data, but share services for those of you who are technical, like dial tone the maps from one department into another department, so they could mash up the maps, see things comprehensively, see things comprehensively, and better run the city. And then, by the way, Jack, he said, can't I use this information as a platform, use government information as a platform for innovation? And I see a bunch of startups here. You guys understand the implication of being able to have open APIs, not just data, of services that I could build apps on top of and immediately start to use. And so the vision was open data, and then that open data going into open services, and then facilitating not only better work inside the city, but also startups could be able to use it, as well as NGOs and citizens can access the map portal and bring that information into their own thinking. Maps communicate it, let's face it. It's like they tell the story. They can actually be much more transparent than just data or even charts or graphs. You see it all, bang, you get the idea. Some of the maps that you showed, Mr. Mayor, about the policy maps, well, you could see where there's poverty, where there's homeless. The surveys that are going on right now for the whole county, spatialized, can help me not only understand where the problem is, but also respond, or the question becomes, where do I put homeless? Or where do I locate them? These are policy issues that by bringing all of this information together can help the policy people, but also NGOs. And then some of you here in the audience are academics, USC, UCLA. Seeing the city and all of its operations as a research lab for engaging students, but also advanced research, this kind of open portal will facilitate new kinds of partnerships that are in that domain as well. So for those of you who are really technically geeky, this diagram kind of makes it clear. GIS operations by GIS people running in the city are served directly as services for other people in the city, but also people beyond the city, citizen engagements, startups, and the whole open data community. This means that we change the way that we manage data in a city. The diagram on the left I drew in 1970s in first engagements with the city. And we thought, man, if we got the different departments to organize their operational data, we could aggregate it up into more planning and management data, and finally we could get it to the mayor's office. Sort of like there's somebody smart in the headquarters, and they're going to be able to ingest all of this information and really drive the city. That vision, while tried during the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s, gets blown away with the idea of web services GIS, represented on the right. So I basically have a portal that the mayor showed that I register all my content in, just like a Google search. I can search for maps, I can mash up, combine maps, I can get insights, I can make better decisions. So it flattens out a shared infrastructure of content that brings the city to be able to address, like your mind, Mr. Mayor, you have an amazing mind of thinking holistically. I mean, when I first met you, you just sort of saw the whole. You saw that the LA River was connected to the community, was connected to everything else. That's geography, by the way. Sorry, excuse me, I'm off on my soap opera. So the platform that the city has implemented, and by the way, thanks to all the good work of the city staff to be able to bring this together. It's not just magic, you don't just plug it in. It meant orchestrating the different content of the different departments, placing them in a portal, and then making them available. That work, I think, will change the history of this community. And I'm being a little over dramatic, but I don't think so. It'll also be a pattern, and I've talked to our customers in Singapore and Abu Dhabi, in Paris. These customers are saying, what's happening there in LA? They're not only doing open data, but they really want to use the power of GIS to create an open community. So a community GIS where not only is their data served out of the cities, but the community themselves start to participate, crowdsourced information. And we have members here from the county who are already starting to share their data and services to make this a community open access GIS. And there'll be, Edison has expressed interest, the gas company has expressed interest, utilities, The USGS was in my office this week, Mr. Mayor, and they were saying, wow, this is really interesting. We could put our base maps and our science stuff into this for things like earthquakes, something I know you're interested in, and suddenly we've got geographic knowledge coming together through an open and accessible portal for everybody. So I can simply say I'm thrilled about this. I mean, it's really a career moment for me. I'm sure it'll mean a career moment for LA and laid out a new footprint. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jack, and thank you for your vision and willingness to collaborate when we had that conversation and to get dirty and get into the coding of all of this as well. I also want to introduce Knox White, who is the mayor of Greenville, who's visiting, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being here. He's over here. Thanks and welcome to Los Angeles. We love the collaborations where we can share with cities across the country too, so it's great to have you here too. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.